We're not in Kansas anymore, are we? Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John, and it's time for another episode of my weekly countdown series 7 on Sunday. I appreciate your patience as I've been transitioning to my new studio, getting everything set up and mapped out. This is a somewhat temporary set that I hope that you'll enjoy for the time being. Big changes coming in the future, but for now, let's get to 7 songs that I can't stand from artists that I normally love. I've done variations of this topic in the past, but I felt like I kind of limited it by just putting it to bands. I wanted to also include a solo artist or a duo or whoever I wanted to throw out there. So these are songs that I've never exactly gotten behind or maybe actively dislike from an artist that I normally expect a lot more of, so this sticks out like a sore thumb. Prepare to either vehemently disagree with me or maybe nod your head in agreement and say, yes, John, finally somebody said it! It's only human to probably feel one of those two ways, so regardless, these are just my opinions. I hope that you enjoy the video, maybe see where I'm coming from. If you do enjoy the content, then please take a second, like the video, leave a comment down below because that helps out more than you know, and let's get started at number 7.
We're so full of shit.
We obviously all know the term growing on me, like the music got better the more listens I gave it. But what is the opposite of that term? The antonym for all of the fellow grammar freaks out there? Sugar, Honey, Ice, and Tea off of Amo by Bring Me the Horizon dropped in early 2019, and when I reviewed that record, I actually name-checked that as one of my favorite songs on the album. It was a nice little acronym that spelled out shit, sugar, honey, ice, and tea, all of the sweetness except there's the sour too, and it had that penetrating message, or else so I felt. But the more listens I gave this song, the more irritating it became, and I feel overwhelmed by it, and a lot of that has to do with the hook. The chorus might only hit 3 times, but it just lacks any sort of ingenuity. The first time you hear it, we get what they're going for, but then the higher octave vocal, sugar, honey, ice, and tea, that's just overkill. It gets incredibly irritating, and that lukewarm guitar does not do itself any favors. If there's one thing that I can say for Amo, despite it not being anywhere close to my favorite Bring Me the Horizon album, the album was forward-thinking. It had some really great ideas, from nihilist blues to even catchier, poppier moments like In the Dark and Mother Tongue. But this track just kind of stands out on the opposite side of the fence for trying to have that big, bold idea, but not really having the spirit to back it up. Alright, places everyone, it's Future Nostalgia, one of the best pop records in recent memory. Get those dancing shoes on, except slip them right back off right at the end because track 11, Boys Will Be Boys, is painstakingly out of place and cringe. Oh, look at that, Mr. Music Critic has a problem with Boys Will Be Boys, a song that calls out things like mansplaining. Of course he has a problem. Sometimes I just feel like I'm going crazy because there's obviously much better ways to dive into this topic that's not so surface level, sounding like it's been filtered through a dozen focus groups and then spat back out with enough buzzwords to hit that target demo. This is a conversation Dua Lipa's trying to have about the fact that women have to grow up faster than men. It's an unfortunate truth of our society that women are sexualized from a very young age. However, boiling everything down to its most simplistic form and then tacking it on at the end of an amazing, borderline perfect pop record, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It tries to sound very elegant with some of the cinematic qualities and the strings, but it doesn't sound like any of the disco pop or anything else that we got on the record, so maybe it would have been better suited for another project, but even if it wasn't on Future Nostalgia, I'd still have a ton of problems with the song. It's not well written, the production is questionable at best, and I guess its only redeeming quality is the fact that it's the last song on the album, so I can easily just take it out of the queue and shut the record off early.
Silly as it seems, and shake your body like a salmon floating upstream.
2007 was a very strange year for music. 2006, 2008, there's plenty of songs and albums that I can name off the top of my head that I enjoy or maybe even love, but 2007, it's a bit more of a stretch. I just feel like a lot of weird stuff happened that year, and the Salmon Dance by the Chemical Brothers is yet another one that fell victim to I don't even fucking know. The Salmon Dance was a very big hit for the Chemical Brothers, and I don't understand the song's appeal. Was it for the fact that it was basically a meme before meme culture had fully invaded? Because if so, I mean, kudos for the fact that the song doesn't take itself too seriously, but the performance and the production by the Chemical Brothers and also the MC on the track Fat Lip, they're just out there in left field picking dandelions, just playing, looking up at the sun like nothing's going on, because this is a song about salmon dancing and swimming upstream. Is that a car alarm going off in the distance? Oh no, that's just the song's production. Getting down with the silly songs isn't always a problem for me. I mean, you're looking at the #1 fan for silly songs with Larry from VeggieTales over here, but the Chemical Brothers, it's a different story with them because they set the bar so high, and more often than not, in fact I would say 99.9% of the time, their music is at least a lot more earnest in its presentation, and then you have this wonky number that still continues to haunt my dreams to this day. D-chord airplane dad rock isn't real and it can't hurt me. D-chord airplane dad rock isn't real and it can't hurt me. Wait! D-chord airplane dad rock? No! Wheels was a single off of the Greatest Hits album by the Foo Fighters. This came out in 2009, shortly before the release of what I feel is their greatest achievement to date, Wasting Light. So if there's one positive I can get us off the ground with, it's that they met Butch Vig here in a production sense, and he teamed up, produced Wheels, and then said, you know, I think we could do a whole lot better than dad rock metaphors for a turbulent relationship, and then we'll make an analog record in Wasting Light that blows your fucking face off. Well, before that time could roll around, we have Wheels, a song that does sound better in its acoustic form. I can say that. They normally play it acoustic with just Dave in a live concert setting, but it doesn't change the fact that the lyrics are flatter than a tire on a semi-truck that's been run over by about every car on the highway. There's no real reason for this generic radio rock filler to be almost 5 minutes long, and I know some people will probably have an affinity for the kind of stop-start groove that they get going with the guitar, and I guess it's okay, but the third time you hear it, you get it, you know what's coming, and Wheels just keeps on trucking.
You deserve it, the way you work it, hobby, 'cause girl, you earned it.
I'm willing to throw just about anything under the bus if it's even remotely associated with the god-awful 50 Shades of Grey franchise, so forgive me, Abel, but this is one of your weakest songs by a comfortable margin, and it also unfortunately plays into that toxic control and reward mindset that 50 Shades of Grey made its millions on. Beyond the issues that I take with that entire media franchise, we have a song that's so slow-moving, so cinematic in its allure, except there's nothing sexy about the song at all. Earned It is mind-numbingly dull and relies way too heavily on a chorus that gets to the point about as fast as an anchored ship in the middle of an ocean. I don't think trying to play this up as some classy joint with elegant strings and beautiful arrangements makes this shit stink any less.
Lead the boys and girls onto the beaches. Come on, tell you my secrets. I'm kinda like.
Considering Lorde is the only modern artist that I've given 2 perfect 5-star reviews for right out of the gate, first 2 records, you bet your ass that I was hoping for Solar Power to be something a whole lot more, and I was really hoping it would evoke a feeling that would grow on me over time, but it's just not getting there. Solar Power felt more like a power outage in the tropics, just a nonchalant anthem for those who hate anthems? Lorde's visionary art forms never cease to amaze me. She's incredibly smart and artistic, but maybe a split from Jack Antonoff on the production would be nice because this takes way too long to get get going, and the drop at the end isn't even good. I really have a hard time with the lyrics too. I just find myself wanting to feel something, anything, some sort of connection. And of course, while I want to see Lorde continue to flourish, it's why I champion the sound of Greenlight from Melodrama, despite it being very different from Pure Heroine. This feels like easily the worst song that Lorde has ever turned in, and that's from somebody that I didn't feel had missed up until this point.
You should bounce, 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 man. Come to the house, man. I'll let my old lady know.
Bounce, bounce, bounce yourself all the way up to number 1 like you're a bouncy ball out of a quarter machine in a golden corral, because here's 21 Pilots with one of their more annoying songs that reminds me of something that I've disliked from them in the past, maybe something like Message Man off of Blurry Face. The sultry ukulele whimpers against a flurry of hand claps and gang vocals comes off as unbearably cheesy on this cut from Scaled and Icy. And of course, after watching the live stream for this album, I found myself really thinking, okay, they are masterminds, they clearly have a plan for everything. There's tie-ins for Ned, there's tie-ins for Dima, everything is tied together somehow. But what I feel like the fandom is missing is the fact that that doesn't excuse a poorly constructed song. You can have tie-ins for days, but that doesn't mean it's a great track. Bounce Man supposedly tells the story of Ned, one of the characters from the 21 Pilots lore, as he escapes to Mexico, and there's just a lot of ridiculous eye-roll worthy lyrics on this one, from floating a couple of bands to I'll let my old lady know. I just hate how washed up this track sounds, with that chorus being the final Spartan kick into insanity. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of 7 on Sunday, the first ever in the new studio. If you enjoyed it, regardless if you totally agreed or not, then drop a like and leave a comment down below. Let me know other suggestions that you have for future episodes of SOS, and you can see a couple of recent videos on screen now. All of my socials are in the description. Support me on Patreon at the top link down below, and I'll be back soon with more on ARTV.